Hi, this is Ben Spear. Thanks for joining me today as we take a look at Skype. We will be using Skype for instant messaging and video chats, and by now you should have already installed the Skype application on your computer by following the instructions on AlcoNet. If you haven't done that yet, please go to those instructions and follow them to download the application and get it installed, and then come back to this tutorial. Okay, I'm going to assume now that you've got it installed, and I will go ahead and click on the Skype icon down in the bottom right hand corner of my screen. It's a little green cloud with a white check mark in it, and it's by double clicking on this that you can open the Skype application. I had a problem when I first recorded this video, so I'm having to re-record the audio. So if there's a little difference between what you see on the screen and what you're hearing in the audio, please excuse. Okay, I've opened the application, and now the first thing we want to do is make sure we're all on the same page. So I'm going to go to the Tools menu and open the Tools menu and select Options at the bottom of the Tools menu. Now there's two settings on this page, on the general settings, that we want to make sure everybody has set. The first is Show Me as Away when I've been inactive. We want to click that and also set it to 1 minute. This will enable your computer to let other people know whether you're at your keyboard or not, and we'll change the icon that they see in their contact list when you're in their contact list. Also, the Start Skype when I start Windows right below that, we also want to make sure that is checked so that every time you reboot your computer, Skype starts and will be available in your system tray down by the time at the bottom right of your screen. When it is started, you'll see the icon down there, the green one that I mentioned, and be able to double click on that to open Skype at any time. Any of the other settings you can just choose whatever you want. However, a couple over on the left that you may need to look at if you're having any trouble with your audio microphone, you can select the drop-down list here to choose which microphone if you have more than one, and probably want to set it for automatically adjust microphone settings. Select the right microphone, click on automatically adjust, and it will adjust the microphone for the best setting based on your voice. You will probably want to choose the HD webcam C270 microphone. If I sent you the webcam, that's the kind you got. You can do the same thing with the speakers. If you have more than one speakers, you'll want to choose the speakers that you use the most, and you can either set the volume manually or also click automatically adjust speaker settings like we did on the microphone. Probably want to leave it set at automatically adjust speaker settings. The other one you want to take a look at is video settings. It will open your video camera, and you can use change your profile picture to open another window that will allow you to actually take a picture with your webcam and use that as your profile picture. Here's where you would do that when you get it set right. Take the picture, and it will take the picture and allow you to use that as your profile picture, which is only active within Skype. You can also set who is also going to see that you have video or have a webcam. You can set that however you'd like. Okay, back to the main window. In order to instant message, we have to have the person in our contact list that we want to communicate with. You can see I've got some contacts already in my list, but when you start you won't have any, so we're going to have to create contacts. To do that, just click on the Add a Contact below the contact list. Now this can be done by either you or the other person that you want to communicate with. It doesn't matter. One of you has to do this. So let's click on Add a Contact, and the first screen we'll see allows you to find that contact by any of this information. The simplest way is to either enter their corporate email, or actually the simplest is to go to Skype name and enter their Skype name, which is the same for everybody in the company. First, we're going to try Berkeley Burbank. So first is the first part of their email address, bburbank1, and then a -am. And you see, once I entered that Berkeley's name comes up to indicate that I got the right person, and he does have an account. So I just click Add, and this brings up a screen where you can change the message that is going to go by email to Berkeley to ask him to be on your contact list. I can click in here to change the message, or I can just leave it as is and click Send Request. When I do that, it tells me a contact request was sent to Berkeley Burbank, and it's also asking for a phone number, but since we don't have our phones tied into Skype, that is unnecessary. But this will add, at this point, Berkeley has already been added to my contact list, and I can either click on Add Another Contact, or click on the red X at the top right to close this. Now, you'll notice now that I clicked on the wrong red X. I should have closed this window, but instead I closed the actual Skype window behind it. Instead of starting this video over again, I'm going to close the window I should have, and then I'm going to go down to my system tray and double click on the Skype icon to reopen the Skype window. Okay, now looking through my contact list, you can see that B. Burbank is there. It shows a question mark in his icon to indicate that he has not yet accepted my contact request. Also, it's easier to figure out who you are contacting if you change the name. You may prefer it to be just like their email address, first initial, last name. I prefer to use their full name, so if I right-click on the contact and go to Rename, I can actually change this to whatever I want to call Berkeley. I'm going to keep it at his name, and that's how I want my list of contacts to show up, first name and last name. And I've got mine sorted alphabetically, so that's how it comes up and makes it easier to find who I'm looking for as opposed to just their Skype name. Once Berkeley accepts my request, he'll show up as a green icon. Okay, you can see here that I've received a contact request from someone else. You'll see that that orange circle with a 1 in it. You'll also see that in your Skype icon down in your system tray at the bottom right of the screen. If Skype is not open, it'll show up there, so you'll know I need to go into Skype and check what activity has taken place. This indicates that a contact request has come in, so I'm going to click on that contact request bar, and it shows me that Tony has requested to add me to his Skype contact list. Now, I could choose to ignore or block, but that would be rude. So I'm going to click on Add to Contacts, and I'm not sure whether it was because he had previously been in my contact list or because the request came from him, but he is actually showing up with his full name in my contact list. If he hadn't, I could right-click and go to Rename to set it to his full name instead of his Skype name. So now Tony is in my list. If I want to contact Tony, and we're starting by talking about instant messaging, in order to instant message, he has to be in my contact list. I'm just going to click on Tony's name, click once, and when my screen catches back up, okay, I've clicked once, and now you can see at the bottom of the screen the actual area where you type in your message. You can type in your message here, press enter. Once you press enter, it will send that message to the other person that you have selected, and also will show it in your in your instant message history right above where you typed. So I can see it right there. Now, if Tony was not at his desk or not in Skype, it would still queue up so that the next time, or when he noticed that there was a Skype message indicated by the icon in the system tray, he could open it up and see that he has a message and respond to it. Now you can see he can't type any better than I can, but that's fine. We have communicated, and this message history is going to stay there for a long period of time so that you can refer back to it if it was some important information that you needed to see again. You can continue to type, and those messages will continue to add to the message thread that shows up here. The whole history of my communications with Tony through Skype remain in this list. And also indicates, what time the contact occurred, the duration of the call, those kind of things. Now, if I want to the other nice feature about instant messaging is that I can instant message an entire group of people of my choosing. Now, the group also has to be created. At the bottom of the contact list, it will show the groups, and they're indicated by the green icon with the several dots in them to show there's multiple people in the group. If I want to create a group, I just click on the Create a Group icon, and it brings up that window that has the little dotted lines. You can drag a contact there that you want to be part of the group. I'm going to choose a couple of community managers. Let's take Amy and Nicole and make that a group. Now, I could just click on Close, and I could instant message both of those people. But the important thing here is that if you want to use the list again, you need to save it in your contact list. So that you can use them again. So I'm going to click on Save Group in Contacts. When I do that, it allows me to name this group. Otherwise, it's just going to be the list of names of people that are in the group. I'm going to call this Community Managers. You'll want to make it a little more descriptive than that. But when you click OK, it saves it to your contact list below the individuals and sorts the groups alphabetically. Okay, let's say I want to communicate with this group. I enter the message in the box just like I would with an individual. The difference now is that both of these people, or everyone in this group, will see this instant message and will actually get an indicator in their Skype icon down at the bottom right that they have activity to take a look at. And both of them, when they open Skype, will see the message I've entered. This is an important distinction and an important advantage over email in that with email, if they don't hit reply to all, then only the sender of the original message will get the reply. And everybody else that got the original message may wonder, well, what was the answer? Or what did so-and-so say about this? With this instant messaging to a group, then everybody in the group will see what everybody else in the group has to say about this comment, this question. For instance, you may want to ask your portfolio team, what do I do in this particular situation? And everybody else on the team can see the answer. If one person types an answer, then everybody else can see that answer. Maybe they had the same question, or maybe they were going to answer it, but now they don't have to, or maybe they want to add something else to the discussion. So those that makes it for some uses better than email. And so you may want to set up groups that you commonly refer with for questions or comments. And of course, that again, the history of the conversation will stay there, and everybody will be able to refer back to it, to the message thread. Okay, I think that is pretty well it for instant messaging. So let's move on to video chats. Of course, anybody you want to video chat with has to be in your contact list. You cannot do a video call with multiple people or with groups because that costs money, and our Skype account is not set up for it. We have another application that we can use for that. But just remember that for now, you can do one-on-one video calls. So I'm going to do a video call with Tony because I know he's at his desk. So I select Tony by clicking on his name, and you see the icon indicates he is active and online. Okay, he comes up. The instant messaging is still there. I can see the history, but I can now click on video call, and that will try to call Tony. And you see his profile picture there. Tony answers, and I can actually see his what's on his webcam, what's in front of his webcam. Now, what you'll want to pay attention to here is that there are several options at the bottom of the screen. While your chat is going on, the most important are in the center of the screen. The video, you can turn off your video. Maybe you had a bad hair day and don't want them to see you, but normally you want to turn that on and leave it on. But if I turn it off, then Tony will not be able to see me right now, and now he can see me again. You can also mute your microphone if you need to have an offline conversation with somebody else while this is going on. And the plus sign is powerful. It gives you some more options. You can take a picture of Tony. You can send a file to the other person. You can send your contacts to the other person. You can actually share your screen so that maybe you want to show somebody else the problem you're having and get their input on how to fix it. And you won't be able to choose add people to this call because again that is a paid feature that we're not using. Okay, when I'm through with the call, all I have to do, Tony is done, Tony's busy, and I just click on the red phone to end the call. All right, go ahead and click on it. Okay, I've ended the call, but you can actually see the history that it's added. It said call to Tony Cardile, duration 1 minute and 49 seconds, and it occurred at 1:24 p.m. So that's video chatting. Very helpful. You can see, the other person's facial expressions. Their maybe hear their inflections in their voice better. But please take advantage of it. Okay. Now Tony is calling me back. I did this so that you can actually see what it looks like when somebody else is calling. This will pop up, and I'm going to actually shut down Skype and have him call me again so that you can see what happens when Skype is not open. Okay, you see the message that we get on the screen. Tony's calling. I can answer with video, and you can answer with just voice, but I'm going to answer with video. And again, we're connected with Tony, and he's busy, so I'm going to end the call and move on. But that's what you see when somebody calls you with a video call. I think that pretty much covers the video calling available within Skype. I hope that you'll use that in the instant messaging. Everybody in the company now has a Skype account. Hopefully soon everybody will be have it installed and online, and be using it when it makes sense. If you find good uses for it, please share those with others. And if you have any trouble, please feel free to put in a help desk ticket. We'll be glad to help you figure out how to use it or finish getting it set up, whatever you might need. But this will conclude our session for today, and thank you for listening.